The best CV writing tips. How do you go about writing your CV or even editing your resume? That's what we're gonna be looking at in this video. And that's so because your CV is your biggest marketing weapon. You are all much welcomed to the Job Market Daily YouTube channel. Here is where we talk about everything around interview tips, career tips, and anything relating to the job market. Join the channel, remember to subscribe, and while you're still at it, drop a like on this video. Having said that, why is it important for you to first of all have a resume? You as a job seeker, you out there looking for opportunities. Of course, there's corporates out there who are looking to hire people, and the only point of contact between them and you is your resume. That is why you need to ensure your CV is solid. Here are 10 steps which you can follow for you to ensure that your CV is very impactful. The first step is you understanding the role that you are applying to and customizing your CV to that role. What do I mean? A good chunk of people out there actually send out the same CV over and over. That is the first mistake which most people out there do. Jobs are different. Job descriptions are different. They require different abilities, different skill sets, and as such, edit your CV, edit your resume before you send it out there. Because if you don't edit it, you're basically shortchanging yourself. And the essence of you editing your CV is for you to ensure that those skills that you have which match the job description stand out, so that a recruiter, a hiring manager is able to see that actually you got what they are looking for just from them glimpsing at your CV. And I'm saying so because recruiters out there have somewhere between 5 seconds and 7 seconds to make a decision as to whether to shortlist you or not. That's so because they're receiving thousands and even sometimes tens of thousands of applications for a single role. So you better ensure your CV is very solid and whatever they're looking for stands out. Okay? And then the second thing or the second step which you need to follow is you choosing the appropriate format. What do I mean? CVs out there have different formats. There are those CVs out there whose format is chronological order, basically listing someone's experience starting with the most recent as you continue listing the experience in that order. There are those CVs out there which put emphasis on function. You know, basically you outlining the skill sets you have, you outlining what you can do, and then the rest of the things follow. So depending on the kind of job you're applying to, you might think about, does your CV need to be, for example, outright chronological order, outright functional, or even in some context, do you need a hybrid of these two? Let me give you an example. Maybe you have been working in the finance space and you have also amassed skills relating to the technology space, and as such you are thinking about bridging or even so jumping into the tech space. In such context, maybe a functional CV will work, because with the functional CV you're gonna highlight what your skill sets are, you're gonna highlight what your abilities are, what you bring into the table, and then the rest of the things are gonna follow. That way you're gonna actually put emphasis on a tech experience which you've built, on a tech skill set which you've built despite you having worked in the finance space. And as such, a recruiter might be interested in you, as opposed to, for example, outright listing there, you have been a finance manager back to back, and yet you want to bridge to the tech space. I hope that makes sense. And then guys, The third step, which is also very key when it comes to you revamping your resume, is you starting with a very clear summary, a very clear objective. What do I mean? As I've mentioned, hiring managers out there have 5 to 7 seconds to decide whether to shortlist you or not. And that's so because it isn't nothing personal. They are just extremely busy. They are dealing with the hundreds, sometimes thousands of candidates. If you have a very clear summary, a very clear succinct section for objective, that might just attract the hiring manager because you're gonna front load or put forth everything which you think is relevant in a very concise way. Those skills which you think are relevant, your abilities which you think are relevant, you're gonna put them out there before anything. And if a hiring manager looks at that, then it might convince them for them to know that actually you are the candidate who they are looking for. So ensure you have a good career summary section or objective section, and that might just stand out. Okay? And then the fourth key step when it comes to you revamping your CV is you highlighting your achievements. What do I mean? Most candidates out there spend time indicating their responsibilities in the CV as opposed to them punching in on exactly what the achievements were. Hiring managers are out there hiring people who can get stuff done. They aren't hiring people who can recite what they think needs to happen. And that's why it is important for you to emphasize on your CV, on your resume, ensure you emphasize what your achievements are. For example, if you are a salesperson, indicate the number of funnels which you ensured were active. Indicate the increase in revenue which resulted from your effort of being a salesperson. Indicate the number of people you collaborated with. Indicate the magnitude of the marketing campaign or even so sales pitch which you put out there. This quantification is very key. Quantify, 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 and put emphasis on results. And then guys, the fifth step, which is very essential when it comes to you revamping your CV, is you using industry or sector words strategically. What do I mean? Every industry out there, every sector out there has those keywords used in the industry, in the sector, or even in the role. For example, if you're applying to a program management function, most likely keywords out there, like for example, agile methodology, waterfall methodology, cross-functional leadership, work plan, tracker, you name it, might be some of the buzzwords, some of the keywords which are used in that particular role, in that particular sector, in that particular industry. So you need to ensure your CV has that custom jargon used in the industry, used in the sector, or even so used in a specific role. And with that, the hiring manager actually will know that you know what you're talking about. I'm not saying you go about lying. I'm not saying you go about doing what is called keyword stuffing. Don't throw jargons into your CV for the sake of it. That is gonna make you come through as someone who's lying, as someone who doesn't know what they're talking about. But use these buzzwords strategically. Use the word strategically and also combine them with achievement, and be sure your CV is gonna stand out. Okay? And then the sixth